Country impression review. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wormys Playhouse, and today I'm finally back. I took a little bit of a break. I went away for a small mini vacation at the end of my summer break. You know, we all gotta take a little bit of a time off just to relax and enjoy ourselves. And of course, all the times that I decided to take a little bit of a break for myself, what do you know it? Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country releases. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is absolutely one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's the new series that's coming out for Nintendo by Monolith Soft. They originally created the whole Xenogears series, and then for Nintendo Wii, they created Xenoblade Chronicles 1, then onto Wii U, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and then finally, Nintendo Switch, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Back to the basics of things, you know, massive worlds to explore, tons of different enemies, engaging and heart-thrusting stories to tell. It's an amazing series, and with the success of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, well, we got the DLC for that game. Now, this is basically a full-fledged game. That's how you do DLC right. So if you played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, who am I kidding? You're absolutely going to love this. You're going to play it because it's a fantastic game, but it's a whole new game of itself. That's how massive Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is. It's such a large game that even the DLC is an entire game. And if you're new to this series and you haven't played the main game yet, well, I absolutely recommend jumping in right here. You can actually buy this for $40. You get it on a cartridge, and it tells a prequel story of the main game. So you can jump in this DLC game without having to know anything from the main game. I think they do that really well. They dive deep into many of the characters from the main game, and they just show you the history of everything. The big war that happened beforehand, everything that was going on with Mithra and Adam. You have Jin and Laura's backstory. This game focuses more on Jin and Laura. And wow, does it tell such an engaging story. So if you're wondering, well, I haven't played the main game yet, so I should probably jump into that first. But you know, that's like a 100-hour game. I just don't have the time. I know it's very technical. There's a lot going on with the combat system. Well, news for you, this is what you're looking for, because again, this is just that prequel story leading up to the events of the main game. So you can play it either way. You can play the main game first and then this, which is how I played it, because you know, I couldn't wait to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when it first released on Nintendo Switch. But there was a lot of story going on that left some to the imagination, and we all wondered, well, what's going on more with these characters? There's more to tell. And Monolith Soft, boy, did they ever bring it with Torna the Golden Country. I think they took everything from the main game and highly improved on it. They simplified many things. They just made the battle system much better and easier. They made being able to level up all your abilities, your affinity charts, and just your community in general so much easier and faster to do. Not easy as this game is just too easy now, but just more easy to comprehend and understand. You know, I found myself almost 100% completing this game just because of how well they really fine-tuned everything. And it's not that they've just made an entire different game. It is essentially Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's just the best of it. Everything from that game, they just perfected and fine-tuned there to make this beautiful game. One of the biggest things that they improved was your blade and driver combo. In the main game, you played as your one driver. There were other drivers, other characters that you could play as and rotate through, but then you had your blades, which were other NPC characters that kind of just gave you abilities. They would just stand behind you and give you enhancements for all your attacks, specials, and arcs. So while there were drivers that you could play as and switch between, and then you had your blades that you could switch out one blade for the next, but you just couldn't play as them. And there were so many times that I just wanted to play as Pirate. I wanted to play as Mithra. How cool would it be to just switch back and forth between them? And Monolith Soft brought that to Torna the Golden Country. Finally, now you can play as all your drivers and all your blades. And it makes the combat system so much better, so much more fast-paced, because now you're doing all your specials, your arts and abilities, and then you're switching between your blades and drivers. So when you have your cooldown phase, you do a quick switch and you can break someone, topple them, launch them, smash them. It is such a fine-tuned system. And then between your blades, you can switch between them as well, and you can play as these characters. If you want to play as Jin, well, you can play as Jin. If you want to play as Mithra, because we've all have been waiting to play as Mithra, well, guess what? You can play as Mithra in this game. And I'd say the main game, that is such a massive game. They've put so much heart and dedication into that game. I absolutely love it. I do absolutely recommend playing it. It took me about 120 hours because, I wanted to do all the extra things in it. And believe me, I could put more hours into that game to fully complete it. And I would say this is more of a mainstream version of the main game. They very much fast-paced the game along in a good way though, because there are different titans that you can still go and explore. So there are massive worlds for you to go out and just go on an adventure on. There's all different huge battles that you can get into with these massive creatures. You have tons of different characters that you can play as. You have your main 3 drivers who are your main characters, but then each driver has 2 additional blades that you can also rotate through and play as all of them. And I found being able to level up was a lot faster and it was much easier for me to do because I was just progressing through the game and I'm just gaining levels left and right because I'm the type of person that I enjoy to explore. I like to go seek out and just level grind for a while, but I guess I level grinded too much because I was gaining levels like it was nothing. And that is a good thing because again, this is like a shorter version. It took me about 30 hours to complete this game. But play this game at your leisurely. Just go out and enjoy it. Go explore. There's tons of things to find. There's secret areas for you to discover. There are unique monsters that you can battle against that have stronger abilities. Those are the fights that you want to go against. Again, they really just fine-tuned that combat system, especially with your blade combos. It was a little bit difficult in the main game. You had to follow certain set patterns just to be able to unleash these orbs that would, if you would break them, unleash massive damage. But in this Torna the Golden Country, it wasn't a set order. You can just use any one of your blades and drivers' arts, and it would just release the orbs, causing you to unleash this ultimate chain attack so you can go in this full burst mode and just deal massive damage for the win. And finding accessories in your aux cores in this game was just so much more improved. In the main game, you would find these aux cores that you would add to your blades and drivers just to boost their abilities, but when they would drop from a monster, so you would get this awesome item, but then you had to go search out the lands for other items, and you had to bring them to a town, and then just merge them together in order for you to use them. It was really complicated, and it took so long. But finally, they just did away with that. When an enemy dropped an item, you could just pick it up and use it. I don't know why that was ever a thing in the main game, but thankfully they did away with that. And they did away with the whole finding rare blades and the common blade system where you get these core crystals and you would have to try to luckily unleash this rare blade that you would never be able to unleash. You would always get stuck with 100 common blades that just weren't really that useful. So they did away with that entirely, and they just gave you your main drivers and blades, and they just improved it with, now you can play as them. You can play as Mithra! And I found maxing out my affinity charts was so much better. After I beat this game, I jumped back into the main game, and I realized I'm going through my menu system, and I'm looking at it. It's like, wow, I barely completed any of my blades affinity charts. I don't know why I didn't really complete them that much, but in Torna the Golden Country, I'm loving it so much that I'm finally almost getting close to 100%ing this game. I've been able to max out a few of my affinity charts. Right now I got Jin and Haze maxed out, and I'm gonna go all the way. And finding side quests, again, they improved upon that. It's just easier. They would give you your waypoints. It would tell you where to go, so you can just go there, get that item, get that device or anything, find that unique person and bring it back. It's just that quality of life. It just simplified and just made it easier. Even though it's still an engaging and in-depth, complicated game, a lot to the UI and the battle system and all the affinity charts and everything and the many side quests that you can go on, it's just, they really perfected it in Torna the Golden Country. And the story, oh my goodness, they really told such an engaging story. And again, it's a prequel to the main game. It follows the line of Jin and Laura. Those are your main characters in this game. And then it brings in Adam and Mithra. So if you wanted to know what happened beforehand from the main game with Mithra, with this mysterious hero Adam, everything that's going on with these characters. Because Jin from the main game, he's not really is who he is. So they really go back into the history of all these characters, and they really pull you in. There's even some mystery guests that show up in this game that I'm not going to spoil for you, because when they do jump in, you're like, whoa, this is awesome! But if you haven't played that main game, I think you'll be perfectly fine, because if anything, learning the history of all the characters, where they came from, if you play this first and then jump into the main game, you'll just be ahead of the game. You will have perfected the battle system, you'll know all the characters and their backstory, so you'll just have that much more of an advantage. And I really think this is where you should start. This is that perfect fine-tuned game of Xenoblade Chronicles. And after I beat this game, I had some questions. Like, wait a minute, I have some questions about some of these characters. What's going on? I thought maybe they would explain it in this prequel story. But then I rewatched some of the cutscenes from the main games, especially Chapter 8 with Jin and Laura, and oh my goodness, after playing this game and now going back and watching their cutscenes, wow, that was so emotional. I literally sat there crying, tears out my eyes. If this game doesn't make you cry, then you're soulless. That's how great of a story that they're able to capture in these games. You can really tell they have a passion for making this game. So if you're on the fence about whether or not playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if you're not quite too sure, if you just think it's too massive of a game, well then this is your jumping in point. This is the game. Again, this is a full-blown game. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna the Golden Country. You can buy this game for $40, so it is at a great deal. It's a full game. You do get the cartridge. You get a downloadable code for a lot of the extras from the main game. So if you do have that main game, you could use this code in there and get all these extra abilities and blades that you could use. But even if you don't own the main game, you can still play this, and I absolutely 100% recommend this game. To me, this is my game of the year. I absolutely love it. I'm definitely going to 100% complete this, or at least I'm going to make a good attempt. I'm probably about 80% of the way. Now I'm going for those golden monsters. If you've beaten the game, you know what I'm talking about. Whew! They get up there. Level 100. Oh, it's coming. So that's going to be it for another episode of Wormys Playhouse. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And follow me on Twitter. And we'll see you again for another episode. We'll see you then. Bye.